respected. There comes a quiet moment in every serious life when you realize that success is not something you chase loudly, but something you attract silently by the way you think, choose, and behave when no one is watching. It is born not from wishful dreaming, but from disciplined alignment between your inner world and your daily actions. And once you understand this, your life never returns to the same small scale again. Let me begin with a truth that is uncomfortable for many, but liberating for those who accept it. Most people talk about the law of attraction as if it were magic, as if sitting on a couch and imagining wealth or happiness will somehow bend reality in their favor. That kind of thinking creates false hope and wasted years. A mind like Charlie Munger's would dismiss that instantly. He believed reality rewards rational behavior, long-term thinking, and consistent effort. And yet, if you look closely, you will see that the law of attraction, properly understood, fits perfectly into that worldview, not as fantasy, but as cause and effect operating through human psychology. You attract what you habitually think about because your thoughts quietly shape your decisions, your reactions, and your standards. And your standards determine your destiny. A person who constantly expects failure unconsciously prepares for it. They notice obstacles more than opportunities. They hesitate when action is required. Over time, reality simply confirms what they already believed. On the other hand, a person who expects progress behaves differently even when things are hard. They endure longer, they learn faster, they compound small advantages. Reality eventually follows that internal posture. Charlie Munger often spoke about avoiding stupidity rather than chasing brilliance. That idea alone explains much of attraction. When your mind is calm, rational, and free from envy, resentment, and impatience, you stop repelling good outcomes. You stop sabotaging yourself. You begin attracting better people, better ideas, and better timing because your behavior becomes trustworthy. Opportunities flow toward those who are prepared, not those who are desperate. Think about someone you deeply respect. Not someone flashy, but someone solid. Notice how life seems to open doors for them. It is rarely luck. It is reputation, reliability, and clarity of thought. They attract success because they have trained their mind to operate in a way that success recognizes. The law of attraction works through preparation meeting opportunity, and preparation is invisible to most people. In my own observations of life, the most successful individuals did not spend their days fantasizing about outcomes. They spent their days building habits aligned with those outcomes. They thought carefully. They read obsessively. They avoided toxic environments. They surrounded themselves with people who told them the truth. Over time, this mental environment became a magnet, not for miracles, but for probability in their favor. There is a powerful emotional lesson here. You do not need to force the world to change. You need to change what you consistently tolerate in your own mind. If you tolerate negative self-talk, chaos, and distraction, that is exactly what life will reflect back to you. If you cultivate patience, humility, and a quiet confidence rooted in competence, life responds differently. People sense it. Opportunities sense it. Even adversity behaves differently when it meets a prepared mind. Attraction begins with identity. Who you believe you are decides what you believe you deserve. And what you believe you deserve decides what you are willing to work for without quitting. Munger believed in building a latticework of mental models. The law of attraction is not a single belief. It is the result of many correct ideas working together over time. Discipline plus optimism, realism plus hope, ambition plus patience. If you want success to move toward you, start by becoming the kind of person success does not need to be convinced about. Someone who shows up early. Someone who keeps learning long after others stop. Someone who does not complain about temporary discomfort. Someone who understands that compounding works in character just as it does in money. This is not mystical, it is deeply human. When your inner world becomes orderly, focused, and resilient, the outer world gradually reorganizes itself around you. That is attraction in its truest form. And it begins with a single decision to take responsibility for the quality of your thoughts and the discipline of your actions, even when no one applauds you for it. Good. Because now we move deeper into the part most people avoid, the part where attraction stops being an idea and starts becoming a discipline of character. One of Charlie Munger's most powerful beliefs was that incentives rule the world. And here is where the law of attraction quietly reveals its real engine. Your mind is always responding to incentives you may not even realize you've set. If your incentive is comfort, you attract a life that stays small but feels safe. If your incentive is growth, even when it's uncomfortable, you attract challenges that sharpen you rather than break you. The universe doesn't reward what you say you want. It responds to what your behavior proves you want. Most people sabotage attraction by sending mixed signals. They say they want success, but they reward themselves for avoidance. They say they want abundance, but they emotionally cling to scarcity thinking. They say they want freedom, but they refuse the responsibility that freedom requires. Life responds with confusion because the signal is confused. Clarity is magnetic. Confusion repels progress. Munger often warned about self-serving bias, the tendency to see ourselves as victims rather than participants. This is fatal to attraction. The moment you believe life is happening to you instead of responding to you, you give away your power. Successful people don't deny reality, but they don't emotionally drown in it either. They ask a better question. What is this teaching me? How can this be used? How do I position myself better next time? That mindset alone changes everything. When setbacks no longer damage your identity, you recover faster. When criticism no longer defines you, you improve faster. When delay no longer discourages you, you last longer. And longevity is attractive. The world trusts people who stay in the game. There is a quiet confidence that forms when you stop begging outcomes to arrive and instead focus on becoming undeniable. This confidence is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up as calm decision-making under pressure. It shows up as consistency when motivation disappears. It shows up as patience when others panic. And that energy pulls results toward you because it signals competence. Let me tell you something deeply human. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack emotional regulation. They attract chaos because they carry chaos. They attract instability because their thinking is unstable. Munger understood that temperament matters more than intellect. A steady mind compounds advantages faster than a brilliant but emotional one. Attraction improves when you remove mental clutter. Stop consuming content that fuels envy. Stop comparing timelines. Stop romanticizing shortcuts. These behaviors quietly poison your signal. Instead, feed your mind with durable ideas. Read things that have survived decades. Learn from people who value patience over hype. Build a mental filter that screens out nonsense. Over time, your decisions improve, and improved decisions attract better outcomes naturally. There is also a moral dimension to attraction that few talk about. Integrity attracts trust. Trust attracts opportunity. Opportunity attracts growth. When people know you do what you say, they want to work with you. When they know you think long-term, they invest in you. When they know you don't chase quick wins at the cost of relationships, doors open quietly. This is why success often looks like luck from the outside. No one sees the years of showing up honestly. No one sees the silent restraint when cutting corners was tempting. No one sees the patience exercised when ego wanted recognition. But the world remembers, and when timing aligns, it responds. Attraction is not about forcing belief. It's about removing contradiction between what you want and who you are becoming. When those two align, effort feels lighter, resistance decreases, and progress accelerates. You stop pushing against life and start moving with it. And this brings us to a crucial turning point, the moment where thought becomes action and action becomes identity. Now we arrive at the part where everything becomes real, because this is where attraction is no longer invisible. It shows up in your daily behavior, in the smallest choices that quietly shape your future. Charlie Munger believed that the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. That single idea explains the law of attraction better than any slogan ever could. You don't attract success by demanding it. You attract it by becoming useful, reliable, and hard to IG. Nor, Life has a way of moving resources toward those who compound value over time. Every morning, whether you realize it or not, you cast a vote for the kind of life you are attracting. The way you start your day shapes your mental posture. If you begin with urgency, resentment, or distraction, you pull more of that into your hours. If you begin with intention, learning, and responsibility, you invite progress. This is not spiritual language. This is psychological momentum. Most people underestimate how powerfully routines attract outcomes. A person who reads daily attracts better ideas. A person who trains their body attracts energy and confidence. A person who reflects honestly attracts clarity. None of these things happen overnight, but they accumulate silently, just like interest. Munger often spoke about the magic of compounding, and here it applies to character as much as to capital. There is also a deeply emotional truth here. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, your self-trust grows. And self-trust is magnetic. It changes the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you negotiate, the way you endure discomfort. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. You stop chasing validation because you no longer need external proof of your worth. One of the greatest attraction killers is impatience. Impatience makes people reckless. It pulls them toward shortcuts that damage reputation and skill. Munger admired people who could sit still while others fidgeted. The ability to wait without anxiety is rare, and rarity attracts reward. When you can delay gratification, you align yourself with long-term forces that eventually overwhelm short-term noise. Think about this carefully. Success is not attracted by intensity alone. It is attracted by consistency. Anyone can feel inspired for a week. Very few can remain disciplined for years. Life doesn't respond to emotional bursts. It responds to sustained behavior. When you become someone who shows up regardless of mood, the world begins to rely on you, and reliance attracts responsibility. Responsibility attracts leverage. Another quiet force of attraction is honesty with reality. Munger believed in facing facts even when they were unpleasant. When you stop lying to yourself about your weaknesses, you can actually fix them. When you stop blaming circumstances, you regain control. Reality rewards those who respect it. Delusion repels progress every time. There is something almost sacred about alignment. When your thoughts, habits, and values point in the same direction, friction decreases. You no longer feel like you are dragging your life forward. It begins to move with you. This is what people mistake for the universe helping them. In truth, they have simply stopped fighting themselves. You attract success when your internal standards rise above external pressure, when you choose quality over speed, when you choose depth over attention, when you choose long-term reputation over short-term applause. These decisions feel invisible in the moment, but they echo for decades. Charlie Munger once said that life's outcomes are heavily influenced by the people you associate with and the ideas you allow into your mind. This is attraction in its most practical form. You become a mirror of what you repeatedly expose yourself to. If you surround yourself with disciplined thinkers, you absorb discipline. If you surround yourself with complainers, you inherit excuses. Over time, your environment shapes your expectations, and your expectations shape your future. There is a quiet courage required to change your circle, your inputs, and your standards. It often means outgrowing people you care about. It means saying no to habits that once felt comfortable. But attraction demands a meant, not nostalgia. Growth rarely asks for permission. It asks for commitment. One of the most misunderstood ideas about success is that it arrives with noise and celebration. In reality, it often arrives quietly, disguised as responsibility, more work, more pressure, more expectation. When you have trained your mind properly, you welcome this because you understand what it represents. Trust, leverage, momentum. Life gives more to those who have proven they can handle more. Emotionally, this is where many people hesitate. They want the reward without the weight. But attraction does not work that way. You attract the level of challenge you are prepared to carry. When you strengthen your character, life responds by increasing the load. And that is not punishment. That is respect. Munger believed that avoiding envy was essential to a good life. Envy poisons attraction because it shifts your focus from building to comparing. The moment you stop measuring your progress against others and start measuring it against your own potential, something powerful happens. You regain energy, you regain clarity, and that internal shift attracts forward motion. There is also peace in understanding this. You stop rushing, you stop forcing outcomes. You trust the process because you are actively participating in it. You know that every day spent improving your thinking, your habits, and your integrity is a day that increases the probability of future success, and probability over time becomes destiny. The law of attraction, when stripped of fantasy, is simply this. Life moves toward those who are prepared, aligned, and patient. Not perfectly patient, just patient enough to let compounding do its work. You don't need to convince the world of your vision. You need to quietly become the kind of person that vision requires. And when you do, something remarkable happens. Doors open without you knocking. People offer help without you asking. Problems turn into invitations. Not because the universe is magical, but because you are finally operating at a frequency of responsibility and value that the world responds to. This is not about controlling outcomes. It is about controlling inputs, thoughts, habits, standards, associations. When those are right, attraction takes care of the rest. Respected, success is not hiding from you, and it is not testing you to see how badly you want it. It is waiting to see who you are willing to become. The law of attraction is not a shortcut around effort. It is the echo of your daily choices, returning to you over time. What you think repeatedly, what you tolerate quietly, and what you practice consistently eventually introduce themselves as your future. You don't attract success on the days when you feel powerful. You attract it on the days when no one is watching, and you still choose discipline over comfort, truth over ego, and patience over panic. Those are the moments that shape your signal to the world, and the world listens more closely than you think. A life well lived, as Charlie Munger would remind us, is built by stacking rational decisions, avoiding obvious stupidity, and letting time work in your favor. When your mind becomes clear, your standards become firm, and your actions become aligned, success no longer feels distant. It feels inevitable, not because you demanded it, but because you earned the right to receive it. So take responsibility for your inner world. Guard your thoughts. Choose your habits carefully. Build a life that deserves the outcomes you dream about, and then have the patience to let it unfold. Because when preparation meets time, attraction becomes destiny.